At 6 o'clock, we'll bring the West Melbourne City Council regular meeting. We'll bring the meeting to order. If you all join me with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may all have a seat. Please be seated. We are all present. We don't need to do roll call. All right, I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the City Council members of the public are welcome to speak on any topic, whether it is on tonight's agenda or on any issue that is important to you. Each person that wishes to speak should complete a speaker card, which are located near the glass doors, and submit it ahead of time to the city clerk. After you have been recognized to speak, please use the microphone at the podium and clearly state your name and address for the record. Please address all your comments to the city council rather than to individual members. Direct all questions to the chair. Speakers will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Thank you very much. All right, our first item is a proclamation. And this is for the declaring September 2025 as the National Suicide Prevention Month. Ms. Hickman, if you meet me down front. While I turn here to the general public. Proclamation, National Suicide Prevention Month, September 2025. Whereas suicide is a national public health crisis that affects individuals, families, and communities regardless of age, race, gender, or socioeconomic status. And whereas in the United States, one person dies by suicide approximately every 11 minutes, and it is the second leading cause of death among individuals aged 10 to 34. And whereas National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month is observed each month to raise awareness about the warning signs of suicide, reduce stigma surrounding mental health issues, and promote prevention, resources, and support services for those in need. And whereas mental health challenges can affect anyone, and encouraging open conversation, community engagement, and access to care are critical components of effective suicide prevention. And whereas local organizations, healthcare providers, educators, and advocates in the city of West Melbourne and Brevard County play a vital role in supporting suicide prevention efforts and promoting mental well-being. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the city council of the city of West Melbourne proclaim the month of September as National Suicide Prevention Month. And I encourage all citizens to learn more about mental health, support suicide prevention initiatives, and foster a culture of compassion, connection, and hope. Witness my hand and seal this day, third day of September 2025. Thank you very much. So this is Lisa Hickman, and she is accepting this proclamation. Would you like to say something?
Yes, if you don't mind. Very nicely done, very nicely read. So mental health is not easy to talk about. Depression is not easy to talk about. And suicide most definitely is not easy to talk about. So Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council, thank you for allowing me to be here today. My name is Lisa Hickman, and I am the Executive Assistant to Janet Gindling, who is the President and CEO of the Space Coast Health Foundation. Our mission is to enhance the health and wellness of individuals and communities in Brevard County. Therefore, we operate 3 programs. We have the Children's Advocacy Center of Brevard, which takes care of all of our little kiddos that have been abused. And then we also have Lifetime Counseling Center, who we have some licensed therapists and trained therapists as well. And probably the one that you're most familiar with is the Center for Collaboration, which I'm sure you've all been there for a meeting or 2. So those are our programs. And I just wanted to give you just a few stats. And our data is from 2023. We had 148 Brevard County citizens commit suicide in 2023. So that's 20.7 per 100,000 here in Florida, or excuse me, in Brevard. And then for the state, it's 14.1 per 100,000. So therefore, Brevard County is ranked in the top counties for suicide. I was also given the information for the last 10 years, the data, and 2023 was the worst year yet for Brevard County for suicides. So thank you for your many, many years of support. I'm proud to say that I've been here to accept quite a few of the proclamations. Thank you for acknowledging September as being the Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. We appreciate that. And the more that we talk about mental health and letting people know it's okay to get help, it helps reduce that stigma. And that stigma is not okay. So we appreciate you doing your part. Myself and my husband Todd here, also known as the cameraman, we're citizens of West Melbourne. So it makes me proud to have a council that's amazing and supportive of the suicide prevention and awareness. And I just want to leave you with, it's okay to not be okay.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. Right, photo time.
Thank you very much.
Here you are. See you. All right, thank you very much. And we'll get on. There are no modifications to the agenda, public hearings. Anyone who wishes to speak on this issue, please fill out a card and put it in that little brown box over there. Proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 millage rate and budget. Mr. Rohde.
Good evening. If you would bear with me 1 second, I'm going to head down to the big table. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of the council. It's my great pleasure this evening to present and have our first public hearing for the 25-26 budget. I want to start by thanking, first of all, thanking all the department heads and the staff for their hard work, specifically former Finance Director Candace Blake, and we'll call her Assistant Budget Expert Sonia Banks has joined us this evening. We have a short PowerPoint presentation that I'd like to go through, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions on the 25-26 budget. I think it's important to note for the audience and for the public that this process started in April, was our first budget meeting as a council, and so we have worked on this budget a series of meetings that culminate really this evening in the first hearing. Really comes to a head here on our second council meeting in September when we take our final action to approve the budget. So I'm just going to run through this PowerPoint really briefly, which kind of hits the highlights. There's some numbers in here that we think are very relevant, very interesting, and so we'll start with that. First of all, that number is correct. Our total budget for this budget coming year is going to be $103,289,460. I didn't think we would get above $100 million, but when you do some major capital improvement projects, those numbers get larger. And so overall, 12% increase from last year's budget. An item that we were proud to present and looking for the council to take action on is we are proposing a rollback millage rate, proposing $1.8151 per thousand. Again, right now, we're at $1.88, so we're looking to roll back to $1.81 on the millage rate, which is 0.629 or 692 cent decrease, if you will, from our previous budget rate. So looking at, in years we've done this a couple different ways. We have the budget software now that creates this chart, but we've used the dollar bill in the past. Just want to give a breakdown of what a average tax bill to a West Melbourne resident, what that percentage goes to. As you can see, of your tax bill, about 49% of it goes to the school. County Commission gets about 30% of it. Fire and the MSTU gets about 5%. There's other of 3%, and then we make up 14% of that tax bill. So while people associate local property tax bill with their local community, we only get 14% of that tax bill that you are paying. Just at a high level, our expenditure breakdown, again, personnel, in any service organization, personnel is going to be your big ticket item, going up about almost 8%. Some of that is relative to the police contract, and then an average of 3.5% wage increase to the city employees. Maintenance operation going up about 3%. You can see that number, and then capital outlay, obviously the big one, going up 130% as we are doing several major capital project plans that I have a slide that will outline. So vehicle replacement, we always talk about, we have our separate vehicle replacement fund, and we always try to highlight the vehicles that we're purchasing this year. Looking to get 2 SUVs in the building department, and then 9 Interceptors, and the SIU vehicles, bringing those off lease and then purchasing vehicles instead of leasing them. So some additions to the fleet, and then of course those old vehicles will be cycled through and then put on a state accepted auction site, as we do with any capital asset of the city that we liquidate. So we don't, you'll never drive by City Hall and see a for sale sign on an old squad car. We go through one of the major vendors to get rid of surplus equipment, and then it's a bid process, and whoever wins the bid gets those vehicles. So let's talk about revenue. This chart is going to look very different than in previous year charts, and I think we understand why, but just want to go through. Typically, our utility tax and our franchise fee is our largest revenue source, those two combined. This year it's appropriation. So we're using, the city has been, my words, putting money aside for major capital improvements and major capital investments. And so we've been building our cash reserve, and this year is the start of spending some of that money on some of those capital projects that I have a slide that will outline. But you can see the appropriations, or the appropriation of the fund balance is one of the largest sources of revenue for this $103 million budget. And then very typical in years past, almost to the exact percentage, the utility tax, the franchise fee, the intergovernmental revenue, which is about 15%, and then the ad valorem tax makes up about 18.3% of our revenue. So as you can see, we are not heavily dependent on property taxes, although we do need property taxes. They are important. They do go, obviously, to supply important vital city services like public safety and public works. And so those are important to us, but they are not the lion's share of the city's revenue.
Could I ask a
Absolutely,
question?
anytime. Please interject anytime.
On that, go back on that slide. We can't read any of that stuff. It's just all dark, so I can't see anything. Is there?
It's also in the budget book. This slide is in.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. Oh.
So it'll be easier to read there.
Oh, yeah, it's easier to read on there, but but where in the budget book? Yes, yes.
In the new council chambers, we'll have new monitors,
Oh, well, good. Beautiful. I have no idea where in the heck it is.
big screen monitors.
No idea. Okay, I'm just going to try to do this.
Yeah, sometimes the angle, it's tough to see those monitors.
Okay, now it's better. Okay.
So, as mentioned, taking some of the cash reserve and putting them towards some of our bigger projects that we're looking at, we have the public land acquisition of 4.3. So we're looking to purchase the piece of property for 3.3, and then we designated $1 million for future fire station site and park land. And so those two together are $4.3 million. The Public Works Administration Building, as you know, we're building what will be the best water plant in the state of Florida.
Yes.
And we are under construction. As part of that building, we are moving over our Public Works Department into a portion of that building. And so that 3.3 represents the dollar amount that'll go into those contributions for the new Public Works, streets and drainage and parks maintenance teams that'll be in that building, utilizing that facility. And then the building, we got to find a better name, the Building Department building with the council chambers, which will be located next to current City Hall. That portion coming out of the general fund to pay for the items that are not part of the building department is $2.5 million. And then our major road improvement that the city is looking at is the Henry Avenue improvement. So we're looking to redo Henry Avenue. We have found some good viable options that are much more cost effective that we're finalizing and will ultimately be coming forward to the city council to present. But we wanted to put $2 million in the budget in case we wanted to move forward with those next year because it is such an important road for us.
Mr. Frampus?
Out of all four categories, is there a possibility of us finding any kind of grant money or anything to put towards this and to offset some of the reserve withdrawal?
So two of these projects, the land acquisition and the Henry Avenue Road, both grant eligible. And the parks, we have an opportunity. We do get development impact fees for park and rec space. And so we could utilize some of those funds as they come in to offset the cost of the park land acquisition.
Nothing for Public Works, though?
The Public Works is a tough one to chase for grants. That one is a very hard. You got to find the unique thing that the state and the agencies are trying to promote, and Public Works always falls to the necessary category, the necessary evil, if you will.
Thank you.
So general fund expenditures, again, very similar to former years that we present, with the difference being the Public Works budget is a little bit larger, and that's due to the new water plant and the staffing that'll go with the new water plant. And so year over year, I think the police department is finally happy that they've just dipped. They finally dipped below and are not the largest department expenditure size, but with the Public Works, both the construction and the addition of the 9 staff for the new water plant, they have now toppled the police department. But only while we're under construction. Once the construction's over, it will go back to normal.
2-year reprieve.
Yeah, you have 2 years to tote, Chief Esta.
Hold on, just Ms. Adams?
Absolutely.
To be clear, and you almost already answered it, are we expecting Public Works budget to then go down in a 2-year timeframe once the water plant is operational?
Yeah, it's a great question. So part of the general fund expenditure is not just annual costs, it's also some of the capital project costs. And so with the admin side of the water plant, or the Public Works side of the water plant, if you will, that's put under the Public Works budget, which brought it over the police department budget. So to put it in FTE perspective, The police department is representing somewhere around 63, 52 sworn, and then 11 non-sworn, whereas Public Works, even with the water plant, is only looking 41 employees, right? So eventually, once the capital side is built and done with, then the police department will take the reign again.
Are we looking at adding, I know you've already kind of planned out what the water plant working situation is going to look like. Are we going to need any additional workers in the future, or we think we've got it pretty much planned out?
That is a phenomenal question.
He compliments my questions. I appreciate that.
Phenomenal question. I will skip a slide because the question has been asked. So let's talk about personnel changes. We have done a very good job of holding the line for many years in West Melbourne with staffing. This year, I think we did a phenomenal job of holding the line with staffing, with one exception, and that being the new water plant. So non-new water plant employees, we are just reclassifying one position. So we formerly had a fire inspector. The county has taken over those fire inspector duties, and so we're reassigning that position to the IT department to bring on another IT person. So no, if you will, if you set the water plant aside, there are no new positions in West Melbourne year over year from last year. Now, with the addition, obviously the caveat to that is the addition of 9 new positions for the water plant. And here we kind of broke them out because we thought someone might ask this question, and so we wanted to kind of give an overview of what the water plant's going to look like. Again, this might be one employee heavy once we get past the first year of operations with the water plant, but we want to make sure we do this right, and we want to give ourselves enough room to be able to have the adequate staffing because, again, it is a 16-hour operation. So we will be running 7 days, 16 hours at the water plant. It's not 24 hours. It's very similar to the sewer plant. It's not a 24-hour operation. It's a 16-hour per day operation, 7 days a week. And so with that, we'll have our water plant director, we'll have our chief water plant operator, our water plant operator, we'll have 2 additional water plant operators. These are broken out by quarter. So we're going to start the process of hiring so that by the time the plant is up, not turned over to us, but by the time the plant is up, we are very close to having full staff to be able to operate. So if you think budget years, it's October 1 this year to October 1 next year, we are looking to get the keys to the water plant. If it stays on schedule and everything goes to plan, they are looking to turn the keys over to us on Halloween next year. So that's the tail end of next year's budget, starting the 26-27 budget. And so when we get those keys and we start doing our internal testing, we want to have a full staff so that they can all be familiar with how to operate the water plant. So we built this program, if you will, for first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter to bring those employees on so that we're ready to operate the water plant. It is not impossible to find water plant operators, obviously. They operate all over the country, but it is a difficult item to find, and so we want to give ourselves enough room to be able to get fully staffed and be ready to hit the ground running. Also think it's a benefit to them to see the final stages of the water plant being built, see how things are going in, because they will be ultimately the men and women in charge of making it go. And so we think this is a good plan, but altogether we'll have 9 people operating the water plant.
And hold on, we have more phenomenal questions coming up.
Thank you.
I might not have a slide for those. I had a slide for this one.
Ms. McGuire, followed by Mr. Frampus.
And it's actually on this slide, to clarify what the reason for the quarterly hirings, other than obviously budgetary reasons, isn't it also because there was some requirement for licensing, or that they have to work for so long before they can actually work or intern?
Yeah, we have a couple different strategies based on what the marketplace gives us, but there's a very good chance that the first quarter people that we will bring on will be fully licensed, qualified operators. They will start building the standing operating procedures to run the water plant, along with Guy Barrett, our water plant manager. And as we get into the third quarter and the fourth quarter, there's a high probability that those will not be licensed people, licensed at the certification that we'll be looking for. They might have their basic license, but they might not have their higher water operator licenses. And so at that point, they will need to start building their time in order to get those licenses so that they can then be crew leaders and be alone at the plant and have the right licensures. So like many licensing in the state of Florida, you have to have a licensed operator on premises, but you can have multiple people under that licensed person operating the water plant. And so the plan would be to, in a perfect world, we bring in all people with the correct license. That would be the goal. The reality is we will probably bring in half of the crew that has the correct licenses. Some of those people might be working for higher licenses, but then ultimately the rest of the crew will be working on their license. But very good question. We've learned more about water operator licenses than we ever thought we would know.
Mr. Frampus.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we talked about subbing out services like we do with Jacobs. Is this the staffing level, whether we sub it out or not, or did we make the determination?
This is we are going to own and operate the water plant. This would be the staffing for the.
So that subbing it out is off the table now?
We are all in on operating the water plant.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Carry on, please.
I will go back a slide. So, we're spending some cash reserve on some projects that we planned for, and some of those numbers feel large. And so we wanted to put this slide together to answer some of those questions that we thought the council might have. And one of those questions would be, boy, we're spending a lot of the cash reserve. Where does that leave our cash reserve? Well, it leaves our cash reserve. So this is the projected cash reserve at the end of the coming budget year, not 26 days from now. This would be a year and 26 days from now. So we're still sitting, our projection still shows $14.6 million in the cash reserve, which is 80% of our operating. So still showing an extremely strong cash reserve with all these projects that we're looking to implement. And then we get into some of our local, or some of our smaller accounts, and those, our transportation fund that's coming in, the restricted billing department fund, even after putting money in for the building, would still be sitting at $787 million. The other restricted general fund, that's got a lot to do with accounting and money in and money out, so that's not specifically a relevant item, but it is one that we wanted to show. The stormwater utility at the end of next year.
Excuse me,
Sorry, go ahead. I'm
that
sorry.
was 787,000, not 787 million.
You are correct, 787,000, just
Okay.
shy of $1 million.
Thank you.
The just shy of $1 million again in the stormwater utility fund. And so again, great team effort. Jacqueline Jackson, our grants administrator, Candace Blake, Tom Bradford, Mark Petroni, Mark Picarillo, all have done a phenomenal job of getting some additional stormwater grant funds, which has brought that reserve, to a point where we're looking at $1 million again. For many years. Well, 6 years ago, we borrowed money in order to keep the stormwater account stable. We were able to finally get in the positive we were able to secure some additional grants, and now some of those stormwater projects are now fully funded by grants. And so putting that cash reserve putting the cash reserve in the stormwater in a really strong spot again. Again, tough to say that because there's no shortage of stormwater projects to be done in West Melbourne, as with all communities. Florida is flat. Water doesn't drain as well as we'd like, and so we're always chasing additional stormwater projects. But it's good to see that reserve has gotten healthy. The capital projects fund balance, so this is our developer impact fee. Again, looking at $4 million at the end of next year. So again, very strong. We continue to see development as action by the council here in the last several months. We've had several projects that have been approved, and so those projects will start to come fruition here in the next couple of years. Still looking at $708,000 in the rec fund, and again, that number variable. That number is extremely variable when those projects get their final CO, then that rec fund, a dollar amount is due, and so it's hard to budget when some of those projects, townhome projects as an example, finally get completed, then those funds get put into the rec fund balance. $2.29 million in the community redevelopment, as we discussed, and then $2.31 million still sitting in the vehicle replacement. So even with the purchase, even with a significant vehicle purchase of the police department, I'm sorry, Chief, we're still sitting with $2.3 million. And again, just for the public, we pay cash for vehicles in the city, and each year, each department puts cash into that account as if they are pre-buying cars for the future. And so we're constantly want to be in a position where we're not having to borrow money to purchase utility trucks or police vehicles or administrative cars. So sitting in a very strong position there. Let's talk about our top 10 projects. It was tough to make the top 10 list this year. When your project 10 is $2 million, it's tough to get on this list. As we all know, the water plant project, $27 million is what we should spend this year. It's over the course of the 2 years, we spent about $27 million this year. We'll spend about $27.5 next year to get it finished out. The Sheridan Road septic to sewer, that project was split over 2 years. There is some money. There's probably a little bit extra money in this year because of the delay, but we look to spend about $7 million on that project next year. The Public Works Admin Building, as we discussed, is 6.7 total, looking to spend about 3.5 this year and 3.5 next year. The purchase of the water from Melbourne, so we do have this item on there because it is the top 10 spend. But as everyone I'm sure is aware, we are still purchasing our water from Melbourne, and we purchase about $6.1 million worth of water each year. An item that'll be coming to the council in the future is Melbourne is proposing a rate increase. And so in tradition in the past, the way our water bill is set up, that our residents get, half of the water bill is for fixed costs, so pipes in the ground that we own, the utility trucks, the water distribution workers that work to make sure that functions and repair those breaks is half the bill. And the other half of the bill is just a pass through on what people purchase of water. So if you purchase 3,000 gallons, which is the average home in West Melbourne, whatever Melbourne charges us for that water, we pass it right through, and that's the amount on the water bill. So as in years past, when Melbourne does a rate increase, we mirror that rate increase on just the water purchase portion of the water bill.
Mr. Frampus?
So are we anticipating in our budget this increase and
10.5% increase in the purchase of water.
so we anticipated that with the numbers we're currently using?
Yes.
Thank you.
So Melbourne hasn't taken their final action on that, but that is what the consultant, their rate study consultant recommended, and the council did take action to put that on their September meetings for action. So They may not. I mean, they may do less, but 10.5 is what has been discussed. Well, if they don't, when we do ours, we'll mirror, if they do 7%, we'll mirror 7%. We're not looking to make money on the sale of water, but we're also not looking to subsidize water to anyone on the sale of water.
So do you think that because we're not going to be buying water from them anymore, they're going to be raising the rates on their own residents quite a bit?
We have a great working relationship with the city of Melbourne.
Maybe I should have asked.
We have had a 30-year history of purchasing their water. And any other questions?
No, thank you.
Public land acquisition, as I mentioned, looking to purchase a piece of property, which we are hoping to bring forward here at either the next council meeting or the meeting after, to put into effect. That's 3.3, and then the $1 million designated for land acquisition for future fire / open space use, which we've chased a few properties and gotten there. We are now in the final stages of working with the property that we think is going to work best. And so when that's ready, we'll be bringing that forward to the city council. Jacob's annual contract, as mentioned earlier. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped number 7, water conveyance lines. So we did put in 4 production wells. Those wells will pump up what we call raw water. That raw water will be transmitted or through the transmission lines to the new water plant. The water plant will make it into the best water in the state of Florida, and then it will distribute that as potable water back to the water mains, the significant water mains in the city of West Melbourne, in order to put pressure into the system, which will pressurize the system and allow everybody to have great water when they turn their faucet on. And so that transmission line project, which we call the water conveyance line project, is $4.1 million. We're about 60% complete with that project. It's gone very well, and very, very proud of how that has gone. Number 8, the Jacobs annual contract. As mentioned earlier, we contract with a third-party vendor who operates the city sewer plant. The city owns the assets and the ground, but we contract with Jacobs Engineering to operate the plant, and that annual contract is $2.1 million. Well site construction, as I mentioned, we have the 4 wells. So we dug 4 wells 2 years ago. And then the well site construction is what we call the well heads. So everything above the ground, which is the significant infrastructure in order to pull the water out of the ground and then pump it through the transmission lines to get to the plant. The backups, the redundancies, the SCADA, which is a fancy IT word for the technology that makes those things communicate together, and so that at the plant they'll be able to tell how much water they're pulling up and what pressure they're getting it at and be able to adjust that. And so, and then of course, the backup systems to make sure we can always pull water out of the ground. This is the well site construction. And then last but not least, for $2 million is the new building department. This is the non-building department expenditures that are coming from the general fund. And so the new building department building, hopefully next council meeting, we should have a not to exceed contract coming forward from W&J Construction for the council to take action on to get this project rolling. So I'm very excited about that.
Mr. Rodick, can you back up a slide? I may have went into overload when you talked about West Melbourne purchasing water for Melbourne, but did you hit on number 5, or did I miss that?
I completely missed number 5. I was so excited talking about water. So when you make water and sell water, you also have to take what comes back to you in the form of sewage. And so number 5 is our BNR project, grant funded at the sewer plant, which is going to help essentially treat and aerate the sewage that's coming back to us before we process it in order to take some of the negative elements that ultimately end up in the Indian River Lagoon after they go through our process, either through reuse distribution system or injecting into the deep well. And so it's a way to clean up that discharged water a little better for the environment and allow us to have a little better capacity and a little better operation at the sewer plant along the way. Very good project. Looking forward to it. The council just awarded that project last council meeting, and a pre-construction meeting is scheduled for the middle of the month. So should be able to get that project going at the same time. So the water and sewer plant will be a very busy area in the next 2 years. And with that, I open it up to any and all questions. If they're extremely detailed, we are blessed to have Ms. Sonia Banks, but I'm certainly happy to answer any question that the council may have on the budget. But there are 3 action items that we are looking for the council to take this evening, if it so desires.
All right, Mr. Francis?
So with the administration portion of Public Works moving over to the new building, is there going to be a rehab of the old building that is budgeted, and it might not have made the list, but are we putting Jacobs over there? Or? Yeah,
so ultimately the goal is to move, if anybody's done the Jacobs tour, the facility that they're in is a bit dated. It's original to the site. It's in rough shape. The ultimate goal would be able to move Jacobs over to the old Public Works building, which is the current Public Works building. One of the challenges that we're going to be investigating this coming budget year is the electronics that operate the sewer plant are all going to the old building. And how they would be routed to the new building is something that's going to take some investigating. And so ultimately the plan would be to get them over to the Public Works.
So it might not happen this coming budget year?
Yeah, so the Public Works won't be able to move in until probably, sometime around 1/1 of '27. And so we probably would get through that move, and in the '27-28 budget would start to look at moving Jacobs over.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't have any lights lit up here. Ms. Adams?
I asked my questions as I go, and if no one else has any other questions, I will make a motion to approve the tentative fiscal 25-26 millage rate as included in our packet at $1.8151.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Bentley?
Second.
All right, we have any questions on that, Ms. Volz? Nope, disappeared. Okay, all right, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the millage rate from Ms. Adams, and we have a second from Mr. Bentley. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. I did have a question on that, though. So when I drive down Hollywood and Fell in that area right there, I can see all the construction, all the work that's going on. Now, those pipes are bringing water to the plant, to the new plant, right? That's our water conveyance, and it's coming from the Clements Woods wellhead.
Correct. So almost all of the lines that are coming from the well sites to the plant have a sister line, if you will, coming back to the water mains. So the goal is to have significant water going back to the water mains in order to pressurize the system. And so what you see down Fell is a good example of the raw water coming from the Tallwood and the Clementswood well sites, ultimately coming to the water plant, and then there's a transmission line of potable water that will be bringing it out to that area to hit the one of the significant mains up and down Hollywood.
So that's the 2 wellheads, but we have 4.
Those are 2 that way, and then there are 2 north of Henry. And so those come south to the water plant. And then again, we have a significant water main going north of, that will be potable water going north to connect. That one snakes north and ultimately gets up to the new M1 water line that we put in 4 years ago.
So is that coming forth? Because that's not under construction right now. All I see right now is,
The transmission lines are under construction. The council awarded that, and that project is about 60% complete.
okay, but that's what I see on Fell Road in Hollywood.
Correct. That is those transmission lines.
And the ones that are north, the other ones that you just talked about, those are not.
One had, the Park Hill has been started. I don't believe the one that doesn't really have a street. Our original well is on in kind of a right-of-way east of Park Drive. That one has not started yet.
Okay, all right, thank you. I thought I was missing something, so thank you very much. Okay, our next item, this covered all of these items? You had the 1 and 2?
That's why lights are on.
Yeah,
Thank you. Is that what was your question, or did you want to make the motion, Mr. Frampus?
I was going to make a motion.
All right, Mr. Frampus.
My other question is, did we need to have any public comments on any of this
A
stuff?
public hearing, do we have any questions? I don't have any cards, I don't have any items from public hearing. I will close the public hearing. We opened it in the beginning.
I'll make a motion that we approve the tentative 2025-2026 budget.
Thank you. Ms. McGuire?
Thank you, Mayor. I will second that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Frampus, a second from Ms. McGuire to approve the 2026 budget. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Adams.
I will make a motion to set the public hearing for 6 o'clock on Tuesday, September 16th, 2025, to consider the final adoption of the 25-26 budget and
Mr.
millage
Bentley.
rate.
Second.
Second, all right. We have a motion on the floor from Ms. Adams, a second from Mr. Bentley to set the hearing for September 16th, 2025. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0.
All right. The first step is complete.
All right, thank you. All right, next item. Amend the future land use designation on the future land use map for the .67 plus or minus acres. Ms. Fisher.
All right, this is an item that had come before you all at the last meeting, the Coastal Crossings property, and I'm going to give a pause to let the city attorney talk about quasi-judicial.
Thank you. Once again, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. The quasi-judicial hearings are conducted in a way that is transparent to the public, and also part of that transparency involves you all disclosing publicly any conversations, communications, or otherwise that you've had to obtain information about this outside of what's in the materials and conversations with staff. So if you've had any conversations with the developer or anyone else, or any emails, or if you've driven by for the purpose of looking at the site and obtaining information, please disclose that now.
Any disclosures? Mr. Frampus? No? All right, thank you. Okay, continue.
Okay, the background is that the property is shown in the aerial as a little triangle. That's why we call it the triangular property. It's less than an acre. It's east of I-95. It's west of Falcon Ridge. And the items in blue are what they're requesting, which is to go to the West Melbourne medium-density residential from being in the county. This was just annexed at your last meeting. And the proposed zoning is R2, the 1, 2, and multifamily dwelling in the city of West Melbourne. Remember that this property was referenced in the development agreement. I'm not going to read through the quotes, but it is to be used for the city. But first, it's going to go along with the property as part of the development so we can figure out the tree count. And then at some point afterwards, it would be dedicated to the city. So 5B, agenda item 5B, is where you all would take your second action on changing that designation from what they had in the county to this medium-density residential. So that's the right-hand side of the screen. And we always do a compatibility analysis. That's what the table shows. And, being next to the road and the canal and not being proposed to be used for anything, it would be compatible with its surroundings. A comprehensive plan is a document that we use to analyze from the Florida statute perspective whether this future land use designation should be approved. And one of the specific policies is about the medium-density residential, and we've determined that, yes, this designation change would be consistent with that future land use policy. The state of Florida also requires all local governments to look at property rights, and so that's what this slide talks about, and that's actually in our comprehensive plan. So owners do have the right to use the property, and in this case, they've already pre-agreed that they're going to at some point donate this property to the city. Moving on to agenda item 5C. So again, I'm doing the presentation of both these items, but you all, if you so please, will have to do separate motions on each. So for the rezoning, remember the rezoning has to follow the future land use. You always do the future land use designation first, and then you have the rezoning. So again, they would be going from what they had in the county, which was an agricultural residential type of zoning, to in the city, R2, and that would match what that proposed coastal crossings development would have, just for consistency's sake. The rezoning analysis is very similar, and that second bullet at the bottom tells you that what they like to do is count the trees on that and use that towards some of the mitigation that they have to do for taking down trees on the main site. We also look at the consistency with the land development regulations, and if the city did use the site for a sign, it would be consistent with that property and what it's zoned for. So the recommended motions in conclusion for agenda item 5B is to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2025-21. And then the second reading of agenda item 5C would be to approve ordinance 2025-22. And if I could have the city attorney help us by reading the titles of the paragraph.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With your permission, I'll read both titles consecutively. The first one is ordinance number 2025-21, an ordinance of the City of West Melbourne, Brevard County, Florida, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan to change the future land use on parcels of land totaling .67 plus or minus acres located approximately 2,547 feet south of the intersection of US 192, West New Haven Avenue, and Coastal Lane, and as more fully described herein, from Brevard County Residential 4 to City of West Melbourne Medium Density Residential, providing an effective date. And ordinance number 2025-22, an ordinance of the City of West Melbourne, Brevard County, Florida, rezoning a .67 plus or minus acre parcel of land generally located approximately 2,547 feet south of the intersection of US 192, West New Haven Avenue, and Coastal Lane, and as more fully described herein, from Brevard County AU Agricultural Residential to City of West Melbourne R2, 1, 2, and multiple family dwelling district, providing an effective date. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're still in the public hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? I have no cards for this item. We'll close the public hearing. Mr. Francis?
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion. We approve the second reading of ordinance number 2025-21 as written.
All right, thank you. Ms. Adams?
I'll second.
All right, thank you very much. We have a motion on, we have any questions on this,
Yes,
Mr. Bentley?
thank you. Christy, I probably just missed it. You probably told us why. Why didn't they transfer this to us now?
Because if we wanted to do it in that manner, we'd probably have to go back and revise the development agreement. But basically, the agreement says that they get to count the trees.
Right.
And after that, then they'll transfer it.
Is there anything in writing saying that they're forced to transfer it?
Yes, in the development agreement. Yeah, that's, let me go back to the slide here.
What I'm trying to get at, I want to make sure they can't take credit and not give it to us.
You're right. That's why it says they shall dedicate.
Okay.
It's not wishy-washy. It does say shall dedicate.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Frampus, a second from Ms. Adams to approve ordinance number 2025-21. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Volz?
I
Did
just
you want to
wanna
make a motion on
On the second one.
5C? All right, thank you.
Yes, on ordinance number 2025-22, and I just want to make a motion to approve that.
Thank you, Mr. Gaylord.
I second.
All right, thank you. Any questions on this? All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve ordinance number 2025-26, 22 from Ms. Volz, and we have a second from Mr. Gaylord. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Christy. All right, next item. 2022, public forum. Thank you. I have one card here for public forum, and this is from John Connolly. Joan, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I just have another statement, my third time up here.
Microphone down, yeah. Us short people, I know.
So of course it has to do with the entrance at Hollywood Estates. So, here we go. So first, thank you for once again giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Hollywood Estates. I've received the documents from...
Ms. Connolly, do you want to pull that mic out and just talk directly? And you just pick it up, it pops right out. There you are. And then speak into the mic.
All right, I've received the documents that were...
Hold on, Ms. Connolly, your name and address for the public record, please. Just speak into the mic.
Joan Connolly, 551 Jennifer Circle, West Melbourne.
Thank you.
Okay, so the city manager was kind enough to supply documents to me for me to review. And I have to admit, I have no legal background. So from a layman's standpoint, here are my thoughts. I have read both documents from 2009 and 2011. The agreement between the county and the city in 2009 states that once the construction of the entrance is complete, the maintenance of the entryway is the sole responsibility of the city. The document of 2011, use of city right-of-way, encompasses the east side of our entrance. The agreement was made by the HOA president on behalf of the men's club. A memorial brick garden was established and maintained by the men's club. The city had continued to mow the east side where the garden was placed. Over the past few years, individuals in our community contacted various departments within the city to make changes to the entrance. There are no legal documents to support these changes. I believe that all parties are at fault for lack of due diligence. I also believe that the petition signed by the majority of the Hollywood Estates community demonstrates that the unauthorized changes should be reversed. The residents of Hollywood Estates can deal with the internal issues, and we do have a lot of them, I admit. We, as a community, would like to honor the agreements that were legally authorized in 2009 and 2011. We ask that you resume mowing the east and west side of the entrance. In closing, an HOA should support the needs of a community. Our voluntary HOA represents less than a quarter of the 408 dwellings. In 2011, when the brick garden was initially discussed, the HOA at that time received input from the entire community. At that point, the project moved forward with the support of the majority of our residents. It is our hope as a community of West Melbourne that you as our city council support the majority of our residents in Hollywood Estates. Oops, sorry.
That's okay. We had a slow start, so I'll give you a couple minutes. I'll give you a few seconds to finish up.
So I just wanted to let you know how we feel about it. I know there's a lot of animosity, but people went and they didn't follow a proper process, and I think that has put us where we're at today. So I'm just asking you to reconsider the front entrance, at least just mow it. I mean, we are a community of over 55, and the majority of residents in our community hire a service to cut the grass. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Connolly. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on the public forum that didn't fill out a card last?
Mr. Rhodey, where are we at in that process?
It is the agenda item 8B.
8B, so it's coming up.
Yep.
All right, no one else. We'll close the public forum and we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'm looking for a light. Ms. Adams.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bentley. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. McGuire.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion from Ms. Adams and a second from Ms. McGuire to approve the consent agenda for August 11th and August 19th. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you. Action agenda, private driveway, naming Mosby Space Coast and multifamily rental development. Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
This is something that comes to council every time we have an apartment complex. The driveways that are in that complex get named by 911, but part of the interlocal agreement with them is that city council has to pass a resolution saying that they acknowledge these roads. So that's what agenda item 8A is. The name of their project is Mosby Space Coast. And remember, the Space Coast is really that area that's sort of shown in that yellow, funny looking rectangle here. That's all of this property, and right now just really has the Integra Station. So remember, the Integra Station apartment buildings are in there, and then you have a few commercial buildings that are currently under construction. But this particular site is on the west side of St. John's Heritage Parkway, and of course that's south of US 192. City staff approved the site plan on August 4th, and that site will consist of 336 residential units. So I wanted to draw your attention to, driveway naming is one of the steps that apartments and other residential units must undergo prior to construction. There's obviously a few other steps, but they do have site plan approval, and they do need to, in order to get the building permits from the building department, they need to have the street names. So they're asking for, these 3 street names. And again, they've gotten the approval from E911, who has to coordinate throughout the county, make sure there's not duplications in the south. So you may see these names in the north part of the county, but not in the south. So with that, I'll try to answer any questions, but if you all can read and approve resolution number 2025-16.
Mr. Carey, did you need to read the resolution? Don't need to read it. I'm not working well on these today. All right, Mr. Gaylord.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-16.
All right, thank you. Mr. Frampus?
Second that.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Gaylord and a second from Mr. Frampus to approve the private driveway naming Mosby Space Coast. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you. All right, next item. First Amendment to the license for the use of the city right-of-way for Hollywood Estates entrance. Mr. Rhodey.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of the council. So trying to find a solution for a difficult problem. So as stated earlier, the brief history, and I apologize if I go too fast for this, but the county approached the city and wanted to relocate the entrance of Hollywood Estates. They had an entrance on Hollywood. And at some point in time, that entrance got relocated to off of Henry. And so the Hollywood entrance got closed off and an entrance got put onto Henry. As part of that interlocal agreement for that, all those pieces to happen, the city acquired 2 parcels and created the entrance of Hollywood Estates off of Henry. which is unusual because normally a subdivision is built and they own all the ground and we don't deal with entrances. But again, some different circumstances on this one. So we acquired the 2 parcels, we put in the entrance and maintained those 2 parcels or the entrance of Hollywood Estates once that project was completed. And so for many years, we maintained it, we mowed it, and took care of it. Over the years, different groups have had a differing opinion on how the entrance should look. And so the most significant one was back in 2011 when the HOA approached the city and wanted to do a license agreement to put a memorial, plaza is not the right word, a memorial structure, some brick and some elements. The city entered into a license agreement with the HOA to do that, with the idea that they would be responsible for it. If at any time the city didn't want that there anymore, we could request that it be removed. Or if they wanted to make any changes to it, they could request the city to make changes for that. Fast forward to my time here of 4 years, we've had several back and forths as to the median and the 2 grassy areas, the one on the east of the road and the one on the west of the road of the entrance, as to different groups wanting to do different things with that. Ultimately, the HOA approached the city and asked that we don't maintain that anymore because they planted some things and they wanted to go with a more natural look. That sparked controversy, if you will, from some of the residents who don't like that look and who want the city to go back to maintaining it essentially as grass. And so, you know, the HOA, I've talked with the president of the HOA, as passionate as some of the residents here who spoke are for not liking the natural. The HOA is passionate about the natural, and they think that's looks good and is a good thing. So what I'm trying to do this evening is I'm trying to bring forward a license. We already have a license agreement with the HOA. We've had a long relationship with the HOA over the years, anything to do with the entrance, the sign, the fences, the memorial. We work through the HOA. So for me, I'm looking to let this controversy and let this discussion happen about the entrance with the HOA and the residents that live there. It is a voluntary HOA, which is different than many of the communities that we have in the city where you're mandated to be you're not mandated. You're by owning a piece of property, you are part of the HOA and have to do it. In Hollywood Estates, it is voluntary, but it does make up a percentage. As Conley mentioned, 25%. I don't know what the exact percentage of the HOA, the voluntary HOA is at Hollywood Estates, but I do know that we've had a good working relationship with that HOA, and I would like to turn the decision of what the ultimate maintenance of the entrances over to the HOA so that they can make the best decision for them and the residents that live there, and not have this be, you know, one year we take care of it, the next year we don't, the year after that we do something different. And so I'm just trying to find a way where the residents can have a voice to be able to take care of this entrance the way that they see fit, and not have it be a city council agenda item every couple of years. And so we put, with the city attorney's help, we put a very simple amendment to the existing license agreement with the HOA that just states that they will have, you know, maintenance control of the entrance, and that the city will not.
All right, thank you. Ms. McGuire, followed by Mr. Frampus.
Mine's more of a question. Who currently owns the entrance?
It's city property,
Okay. Okay.
which makes it complicated.
Mr. Frampus.
So it being a voluntary HOA, and I'm very familiar with HOA boards, and it's my understanding that anybody that lives in Hollywood Estates can join that HOA.
I believe the only requirements are that you are a resident of that subdivision and that you pay whatever the fee is to be part of the HOA.
And if the majority of the residents wanted to take over control of that again, all they have to do is join the HOA and take over control of the HOA. Does that pretty much sum it up?
I do not believe it's exclusionary in any way other than you have to be a resident of HOA. And we have some residents here if they know something different, but it's for their community.
Is that pretty much right? Can you let us know who you are?
Would you please state your name and address for the public record?
Sure. My name is Paul Lilliebridge. I live at 542 Marnie Circle. Just to give you a little background, I've been president of the HOA twice, vice president once, and a board member for the past 4 years. I was elected in 2021 after the pandemic, and I'm sorry, in 2022, after the board in 2021 stepped down. We are a voluntary HOA. Our HOA doesn't make any decisions for the community. They make it for their membership. Right now, like I state, it's estimated to have 80 members out of 400 and something lots. Nobody wants to join it because they really don't have a say in what happens in the community. They do speak up, just like the Veterans Club or the Women's Club can speak up.
Can I interject?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. In this case, the HOA does have a say in it, and that's why we're at the stage that we're in. You're still on the board?
No, no longer. I stepped down.
Okay. So the board does have a say in it through the participation in the HOA according to the agreement. So anybody can join your HOA, correct?
Anybody can join, because like I say, it's
as long as they live there.
mandatory HOA. It's $25 a year in dues.
Okay, so that kind of answers my question as far as where we're standing with our license agreement with the HOA. Thank you.
Okay, but like you say, that agreement only covers the brick side of the entranceway. If we have to abide by that, then we'll deal with that. But we don't want nothing responsibility, and who's the HOA going to get to do? We just had 4 members on the HOA step down because they didn't like the controversy that was happening in our community. So now they're going to have a board meeting and try to get more people onto it again. But it's a big controversy in our community. The residents don't want the way it is. Yes, I agree, it's good for the environment. Well, then find another location like that parcel you just took and put the plants and stuff over there. We don't want it in our front entrance.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lillibridge.
So, Mr. Rhodey, you have had contact with the HOA?
Absolutely.
The current HOA?
Current president, yes.
As an HOA board, they have to have a certain amount of people on the board to actually form an HOA in the state. So,
I'm assuming there's bylaws that they follow.
yeah, right. So, to your knowledge, it is an active current board, right?
It's active, and again, I only have 4 years here, but I have interacted with the Hollywood HOA many times over many different issues relative to Hollywood Estates.
All right, based on your review and your recommendation, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the First Amendment of the license for the use of the city right-of-way for Hollywood Estates.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bentley, you have a question?
Second with
You need a
questions.
second, okay. Please ask your questions.
So my understanding is by doing this, the HOA has control again, and that we are not in the loop on any neighborhood in the city except this one.
This is the only entrance that the city maintains.
And why would we not give that entrance to them? Do we own other entrances to other city or other neighborhoods?
We do not. I did not approach the subject of ownership because obviously the road would always The road will always, it's a public road, so it will always
Well,
stay.
we kind of have a similar situation in Sawgrass where the HOA is maintaining from Minton all the way to Shallow Creek. That's an agreement we have that's similar in nature to what.
Right, and their desire there was to have increased landscaping and maintenance above and beyond what the city would normally do.
Similar.
Which is, I guess you could say, similar to this.
Our sign and all that other.
I think this is this is an aesthetic. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't know that that's a good city council agenda item to have every couple of years, whether the city council should decide whether they like it or not. When there is an HOA board, anybody can join it of that community, can make those decisions and decide what they want to do for themselves, in an open forum. And so I'm trying to help this process along, which should have been done when we bought those properties, right? Because we're not in the maintaining different community entrances business.
And so you don't think we need to turn over that to them because it's already, we already have all the rights we need?
Yeah, our concern is making sure the road is in good shape, it's clean, and it's well maintained. That's our job as a city.
Ms. Adams?
I'm not sure if my question is for Mr. Rhodey or Mr. Carey, so either are welcome to take it. I think it has more of a legal perspective on it, but as a council, being as we don't interact with many neighborhoods in the same manner as we're currently dealing with the entrance with Hollywood Estates, is council even allowed to interact with, let's say, just a group of residents from that neighborhood to enter into legal agreements, or are we required to then work through and with the HOA because it technically, even though it's voluntary, represents the community? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I don't know what grounds we would have to enter into agreements with individuals outside of the HOA context. I mean, Florida law gives the HOAs powers and responsibilities that necessitate us working with them in some fashion. Individual people don't really have the same rights and obligations under Florida statutes as the HOA does.
I'm just thinking about the people that took the time to go and collect the petitions, the people that signed the petitions. Obviously, there's a group of them that feel strongly about this, but collectively, we can't even enter into an agreement with that group because they're not recognized by statute, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure what grounds we would have to do so. Yeah, is the answer I would give, because, again, at the risk of repeating myself, the Florida statutes are very clear on the powers that HOAs have, and
Right,
and
even
not-
voluntary.
Right, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Frampus? Followed by Ms. Volz?
Mr. Rhodey or the attorney, what's the difference? I know we have an agreement, and this is called a license.
License agreement, so
So it's the same thing?
yeah, we don't have a ton of them here in West Melbourne. That's a little bit unusual, but typically, I think the best example of a license agreement is this current, not the amended one, but the current license agreement is a great example. Someone wanted to put the memorial. It's not their property, and so they need to get a license agreement with the city to do it.
I didn't realize ours was a license agreement as well. I just thought it was an agreement.
And so call it an agreement, call it a license agreement. It's their right to have that there, subject to it not being on their property.
Thank
you. Ms. Volz?
My question is, if we own the roads, why do we have to do anything else around it at all? I mean, would that not be the responsibility of theirs to put in flowers or whatever they do in the middle of the little section there, because, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. We own the roads, we maintain the roads, and that's the city's responsibility, is to maintain roads. But I'm hearing the city's responsibility is now to maintain the grass and the bushes or whatever is there.
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah, this one is unique from the standpoint of, because that entrance that's off of Henry, Thelma Lane, because that entrance wasn't there when it was originally developed, and they lost the Hollywood ingress and egress when the county made them get rid of it. We, as part of that agreement, we purchased 2 parcels to create the new entrance on Henry, so that, so that they would obviously have an entrance and an exit to be able to get in and get out. And I think the part that was missed was when that happened, we should have turned over the maintenance of those 2 parcels over to the HOA, so that they would maintain them in the fashion that they see best for the community. That didn't happen, and so we, as part of that agreement, we own and maintain that. And so we've been cutting that section, since 2011. We've been taking care of that. And then in recent years, it's some groups through the HOA approached the city to want to do some different things. And we allowed them, but now, because it's become, kind of I don't want to say a controversy, that's a strong word, because there's a disagreement on how the maintenance should look, the city council has to take some kind of action. And to me, the 2 actions are, one option is this, amending this agreement, which gives control over to the HOA to maintain it as they see fit, or to revert back to the original agreement, and the city will just go in and mow it. And if there's landscaping that gets mowed, it
Well,
gets
you
mowed.
really are not able to mow the center part because it's, there's
Correct.
median, it's like a median there.
Yeah, and the reason we stopped is because they went with more of a natural landscape area. And so we don't have a landscape crew. We've got a guy with a 48-inch zero stern mower that makes 3 passes in and out and he's done. We don't have the ability to have, weed whips and blowers and push mowers to go around all the different landscaping.
Right.
And so the HOA said they would take care of it and maintain it, and thus the reason this agreement, this option is before you this evening, is to turn that maintenance officially over to the HOA, so that any resident there that's not happy with how it looks can address that with the HOA, not the city council.
Well, that sounds like the best thing to do for us to, once and for all.
Thank you, Ms. Foltz. Under the first whereas, and then under number 2 on the actual license, it refers to this area as the Brick Garden in the area and the surrounding area, both places. Brick Garden and surrounding area, and up came the same. So for future's sake, that surrounding area is ambiguous. If we go years into the future, you
And that's
can
why we want to amend it.
interpret that any way you want to in surrounding areas. So this piece here, can that not be stapled to this when it's well, you can't staple and record, so that it is definitely clear what the brick area and surrounding area is?
And that's part of the confusion, which is why we want the amendment, which states that it's all the landscape area and the 2 parcels. So that's the drawing that I put in there in red that has all the maintenance areas that would then be turned over to the HOA, which is essentially everything but the entrance and the exit.
Drawing in red?
If you go to the staff memo,
Okay, it's just not red for me, that's okay.
oh, it's black and white.
Okay, I got it. Oh, I see, okay, there it is, right there.
All that work.
Got that. Okay, that's exactly what I was asking for, exactly. So that is clear.
We'll have the city clerk is talented enough to pull that up.
Oh, it's all the grassy areas.
So it's essentially all the grassy areas.
So that is clear for all future generations that will
Yes.
move into Hollywood Estates on now through 2050, 2030, 20...
Yes, we want to be very clear on where they can go to make their plea, and that is to the HOA.
So might I make a recommendation then to the council that we amend the motion to include me editing the resolution to reference Exhibit A, which will be this map, and then we can have that as part of the resolution, and it can be recorded together.
Okay, I have another question in
I
here.
agree to that motion change, by the way.
Okay.
And who seconded it?
Okay. The fence,
The second has to agree to
he
it.
did, he just acknowledged it.
I didn't hear you.
Okay. There's been some issues with the fence belonging to the city, so now,
Yes, and it's a great question, and the fence has come up before. So as we're looking at this diagram, the east and the west, there is wood fencing that runs north-south. So I don't know if Megan, if you're able to, if our city clerk could, no, you're good. If you could just blow that up one more. If you could run the cursor on the north, on the east and west property line, north and south. East and west, run it, yep, vertically. Yep, see there, where she's running the cursor, there is wooden fence that is city-owned and maintained wooden fence. And I'm not proposing to change that and put that responsibility to the HOA. That's still a city fence, and the city needs to maintain that. We're getting some quotes to replace those fences on those two sides. Now, the fence that runs along Henry is not city property. That is not a city asset. That is not city responsibility. So the fence the long fence that runs along Henry from the front to the back,
split rail.
the split rail is not a city fence. That's not city responsibility. But the two fences that are city responsibility are the two fences that are on these parcels.
Should that not be in the agreement that,
I think the city should continue ownership of those fences because that was part of the original deal.
But I agree, it should say it somewhere, right?
for clarity,
We can clarify that the privacy fences on these two parcels will remain city property to maintain.
all right, so now I know there was a plan to put power, to run power from this corner unit here out to their sign, and they want to put power out there. Are they not going to have to put some kind of hole in the fence to run their power lines through?
Underground.
Underground? All right. So
Is that fence on our property or their property?
It's on our property, on the property, it's essentially the property
Line?
line. And it's a privacy fence.
And they can put power there, even though it's the city's property, but if they're going to do the maintaining of it, which they're agreeing to do, if they want to put power out there, they can. It's part of
Correct.
what they can do, okay. And they may never do it, I don't know. It's just, I know it was mentioned. All right, any other questions? Mr. Frampus?
I want to touch on this fence thing again. Do we have to replace it? I mean, if it's dilapidated, is this
It's-
something that city really wants to get involved in?
It's old wooden, it's wood, which only has so much of a lifespan.
Do we want to replace it? Can we just,
I have not asked the HO if they want to take ownership of the fence. I have not asked them that question.
because I think it'd be my recommendation just to remove it and not have any.
What if we, similar,
Oh,
no,
Everybody else thinks.
if I could dovetail on that, what's very typical with the county is when we're looking to get one of their roadways that they would like to deed to us, they either resurface it or replace it and then deed it to us in essentially good working order. What if we replaced those fences and then gave that over to the HOA so that they have a brand new fence to work with into the future.
Why would you not just take them down?
That's what,
Well, they're privacy fences for the entrance, right? Because that's the main entrance for all, is it 520 units? 412 units. No, the split rail is along Henry, The fences that are on these, that would make up Thelma Lane, are privacy wooden,
basically, it's blocking the lighting from the street, hitting that one house.
those two properties, yep, each side.
So if we put composite as opposed to wood, that the composite doesn't rot. If we were going to replace the fence with.
In any case, I think it's separate from what we're doing tonight.
I do think it's separate, but I'm open to I'm open to whatever the council would like to do.
We're specifically putting in the motion that we're responsible for the fence. It's not separate from tonight. If we say we're removing it, then it's just getting removed. But if we're putting in the agreement that we're responsible for it, it's part of tonight's motion. That's why I'm struggling kind of with it.
Who's benefiting from the fence?
It's not in the fence is not addressed in this.
I understand. Who's benefiting from the fence, the city or the residents?
Well, it's privacy fence for the people coming in and out. Does the city benefit?
I'm not sure why you're asking.
No, but we put a privacy fence along Henry in Florida when we did those roads
Part of a deal, yeah.
as part of a
To get the job.
privacy.
So this was part of the original deal?
So the fence was part of the deal, and certainly if you lived in one of those two units, you would really like the fence because it's everybody's headlights at night coming in and out.
I think we should just leave it as the city's responsibility, because that way we can't get the HOA coming in being mad at the one property owner saying get rid of the fence, and then they just tear it down. So I think we just.
I don't want to be perpetually responsible for it. I'm willing to put it new, which is what Mr. Rohde's suggesting, but then they own it. Does that make sense?
Our property.
Oh, it's on our property.
It's on our
Oh,
property.
geez. Man, that gets messy. What kind of, you wouldn't put another wooden fence that's going to rot out in 10 years, would you?
We would want to put a longer term fence in there, right?
Plastic is what you're saying.
Yeah, we'd have to look at it and
But
work
you've
with
not
the.
talked to the residents
And
about
again, it's an item that we've in the past worked with the HOA on to discuss. We just have not gotten quotes to replace that yet.
So these are the things I get calls on. This is why I asked.
Yes, and again, it's.
But it seems like it's under your purview in your dollar amount to decide.
It would absolutely be. This would not exceed $25,000.
So if we approve what you've asked us to approve tonight, which is the current motion, you'll figure out the rest of this
I
stuff.
will be happy to work with the HOA and the two residents that live in those two properties to find a good solution.
Meaning that we're maintaining control on the fence.
We're going to put a new fence, plastic, that's going to last a lifetime,
Yeah.
outlast us.
And I'm happy. I just haven't
All right, I'm done with it.
broached the subject with the HOA of who owns, who would want to own the fence.
Ms. Adams wants to make a comment on this as well.
I was perfectly fine waiting. Mr. Bentley had asked my initial question of, would you then have the latitude to work with Hollywood Estates if we moved forward the motion as it is? And that's a yes, correct? Okay, so I think my only other comment with that is I'd like, from a good neighbor perspective of the city, we just make sure that it's good quality, something that's going to last long-term, and that's what I hear, everybody's agreeing to. We want to make that investment. So I think as long as that's clear, I don't want to see, a new resident who moves into the one house have something that's not the best quality that we can give, with Mr. Rohde's discretion for that. So that was my only comment. Or the current. I'm just thinking long-term, the current one may agree to whatever the material is, but what about the residents that come after them? Thank you.
All right, so we already said that there's going to be
An amendment
An
to
amendment to the
include this
motion.
as an exhibit.
yes, as an exhibit, yes. All right, I'm looking for lights for a motion here. I'm sorry. I have it
well
right
as-
here. I already have it. I've written it down.
As well as maintain, maintaining the status quo with respect to the fence. You wanted that included as well, correct? Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Well, we haven't, okay. Okay. All right, we have a motion on the,
We want to be clear on the motion that it is as written to include the attachment of number.
We'll call it Exhibit A, the map that's in
and to maintain the fencing at the city manager's discretion. At his discretion.
all right, so we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Frampus and a second from Mr. Bentley. All those in favor of accepting this as we've just discussed signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Oh, that was easy. All right, we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, next item. All right, fiscal year 2025 budget amendment for 2 flood risk reduction projects, police vehicle recommendation. Mr. Rhodey.
All right, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of the council, we have 2 short budget amendments for consideration in this, so in the 24-25 budget year. One of them is, well, they're both good. I was going to say one good, one, sorry, Chief. They're both good. It is pick on Chief Best tonight. Both of them are for good reasons, if you will. The flood risk reduction, we had budgeted we were planning to budget over 2 years because it was a 6-month project. They have substantially completed the project, and so more money got spent this budget year because they got the project done. And so we're looking to amend the budget to account for those dollars that we thought we would be splitting over 2 budgets. And kind of similar with the police department, we were playing, guess when the parts and pieces would come in for squad cars because it was a back, the supply chain issues of when we were going to get those items and versus when we ordered them, and they did come in. And so we did get those items delivered, and so we're making the budget amendment. Again, neither one of these items are a change in dollars that were budgeted. They're just a change in which budget year they're falling.
All right, Mr. Frampus.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion we adopt resolution 2025-17 as written.
Ms. Adams?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Frampus and a second from Ms. Adams to adopt resolution number 2025-17. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Ms. McGuire.
Okay, on to the second one. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-18 as written.
Thank you. Mr. Frampus?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Ms. McGuire and a second from Mr. Frampus to adopt resolution number 2025-18. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you. Next item, and I'm assuming he didn't have to read this resolution again. All right, next is resolution number 2025-15, authorizing certain individuals to sign and countersign documents.
Very controversial item this evening. With the resignation of Finance Director Candace Blake, we are looking to take her off as an official signer and designate Tom Bradford as an official signer of the City of West Melbourne.
Thank you, Mr. Gaylord.
Not to make this controversial, because I think these are relatively easy questions, but I did have some that came up when I was looking at this. So, what did the prior structure look like on this? Was it just Candace doing the?
So the official signers for the beautiful City of West Melbourne are always the mayor. So every time there's a mayor change, the mayor is added or, removed. And then myself and Tom Bradford and the finance director.
Okay.
So we have 4 official signers. With Candace leaving and until her spot is filled, we'll just have 3 official signers.
Well, you answered all 3 of my questions, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you. Knowing that we have to do this process when we're changing the authorized signers for documents, will we be doing another piece like this when we do have a new finance director?
When we hire a new finance director, we will add that person to the official signer list. It's essentially the, if you will, the check signers.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-15 as written.
Thank you. Mr. Frampus?
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion on the floor from Ms. Adams and a second from Mr. Frampus to adopt resolution number 2025-15. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, signify by saying nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you very much. Next item is wide ranges of non-represented employee classification. Mr. Rhodey.
So thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of the council. For the last 3 years, we have brought a wage adjustment, the non-represented classification wage range adjustment to this body. So what we are trying to do each year when we're doing this is acknowledge that there are pay raises within the organization, and trying to keep the wage ranges, so those mins and maxes, if you will, in line with representing where people are, and so that they don't cap out, and then adjusting. And so while the average employee at the beautiful city of West Melbourne this year were receiving somewhere around a 3.5% wage increase based on their performance review, the wage scale, we're looking to adjust 2% in order to avoid compression. We're not going up 3.5%. We just go up a smaller percentage in order to keep the wage ranges moving with the times of the cost of the increases. And so that we're never bringing anybody in new to the organization so far behind that they won't be able to catch up. And also not, on the flip side of that scale, we want people to have enough flexibility where they don't cap out at the top of the range.
All right, thank you. Any comments?
No, sorry, another important item is this year we added the new water department employees into this wage range.
All right. Mr. Gaylord.
Yeah, so with the addition of the water plant employees, Mr. Odie, with the understanding during your presentation about how competitive these positions are given the nature of the qualifications for operators, how competitive would you say, do you think West Melbourne is in a good spot in terms of competition for being able to fill those positions given the grades outlined here?
So very good question. So when we did our last comp and class study, we included water operators to get a scope of what that pay is. 2 communities in Brevard County recently completed their wage analysis, and so we got a hold of those 2 and then worked with our water plant director, Guy Barrett, to look at these ranges to make sure that we're competitive in our region. Again, we're not trying to compete against Miami. We're not trying to compete against Jacksonville. We're trying to compete essentially in the Brevard County with the other 4 water utilities, and so we based our wage scale off of those.
Yes, you can continue. Yes.
So knowing that we're just competing in the region and not with the entire state of Florida, obviously, because water plant sizes vary, budgets vary, understand that. Do we anticipate difficulty in finding those qualified individuals because we lack the ability to compete with municipalities that are looking for water plant operators, like let's say Miami or Orlando, or cities that are outside of our region but are still looking for employees?
Yeah, like anything, it's a specialty position, so it's about attracting. Like as I mentioned, we're looking to fill half that group of people with kind of existing operators that have experience, skill, background, and licensure. there's a good chance the other half are going to have to be qualified individuals that are capable of doing the job with the training, but maybe aren't existing water plant operators.
Okay. So don't have-
But I think we're going to be very competitive, and this range allows some flexibility to make sure we get that talent.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Foltz?
Yeah, I had questions along the same line. I thought those minimums were pretty low for water plant operator. I mean, that's just, they have to be licensed, and there's just a lot that goes into the knowledge that they have to have. And a family these days couldn't even live on that minimum wage. And so that was just my thought also.
Yeah,
The water plant operators, I just thought that those were too low.
I just ask that you keep in mind that range, I have the flexibility to bring somebody in with experience, not at the minimum.
Right.
So some of those minimums for the water plant operators would be maybe a younger man or woman who has some mechanical experience but doesn't have a water license, but wants to work at a water plant. And so that might be where that minimum works out until they get their licenses, and then they'll move up in the progression of the pay scale.
Okay. Those are just my thoughts.
Did you not want to make the motion, Ms. Foltz? You,
Yes, as a matter of fact, I will make a motion, since my glass is broken, so I can't really see one of the glasses. Anyway, yes, I will make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-19, approving the wage range for non-represented employees classifications.
thank you, Mr. Gaylord.
And in reverse order of how we asked our questions, I will second that motion.
I was waiting, I was looking at you, waiting for you to make the motion.
I'm sorry.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Volz, a second from Mr. Gaylord to approve Resolution Number 2025-19. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Council reports. Stephen Frampus.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 22nd, I had the pleasure with the mayor and Mr. Rhodey to attend Space Coast Symposium. As always, very interesting, a lot going on space-wise in our area, and it was a pleasure going to that symposium. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Bear with me, I have a few things I'd like to highlight tonight. The first one being at the most recent CivMill meeting, I thought one of the big highlights that they discussed was that they are trying to bring some of their war games from Alabama to Florida. And they want to do that specifically because now at Patrick Base, we currently have one of the largest wings that hasn't currently existed at the base before from what was shared at the meeting. And the reason I think that's particularly important for our community, not necessarily West Melbourne specific, but West Melbourne may benefit from that sort of development, is because they talked about the size of the groups brought into Alabama. You know, you've got to think ahead in terms of what that infrastructure looks like to support them. So hopefully that means, you know, then the Space Coast area sees that benefit of maybe the larger government entities having interest in helping us invest in infrastructure, things like that, for the number of people they want to bring in, especially if we're looking at it from a military perspective, but also from a tourist perspective. They want to find ways to engage non-military personnel in just being more aware of them, which I thought was an interesting discussion, so I wanted to make council aware of that. The second one, earlier today, actually, I participated in a Women in Government panel with council members from different cities, and it was particularly interesting because West Melbourne, I mean, I think all of us up here know that we do very well as a city. We're very fiscally responsible. We have amazing staff, and they're very, I would say, proactive about a lot of things. We're working on our infrastructure, our stormwater improvements, things like that. And it seemed like, you know, the other cities kind of gave us a nod that they're recognizing we'd like to do things, it was said today, we'd like to do things similar in the way that West Melbourne has done.
Nice.
In terms of their planning ahead for the future. So I just thought that was a really nice comment, and I wanted to share that. I think that nods to previous councils, but also the one currently, as well as our city staff. The third note was about a week or so ago, the Space Coast Association of Realtors had a few of us on a government affairs panel focused on housing. The discussion of Live Local came up, the discussion of the different types of housing available, and I know that they are looking to work on partnerships around the county, not necessarily looking at strictly low-income housing for different areas across Brevard, but the discussion focused more, I think, on mixed type of housing. And I know, being a mainly residential community, we have, our sectors of commercial are balancing that out really well for us, which is hence why we're able to look at things like lowering our millage and stuff like that. But we don't have some of that mixed housing opportunities that they discussed on that panel. And so I don't necessarily see that as a good or bad thing. I'm just raising it for awareness because other communities are making it a priority to look at those options. I don't necessarily see that they could fit in West Melbourne, but I know I've had that conversation with a couple staff members, just in terms of if we have developers that are looking at bringing other opportunities here, do they fit in our comp plan? Are they something that our community wants? But you might want to look into those as an individual, member of council, what different types of housing opportunities are, and if you think they could fit here or they may not. Like I said, just wanted to bring it up to put something in your brain. Let's see, gotta go through my list. The fourth thing was the HBCA held an event at Capernaum Place, which is run by Wings of Grace Ministries. I know Mr. Bentley went as well. And the reason that I wanted to bring up Capernaum Place, it's over in Melbourne. It's right off of US 1, but they're specifically focused, they're going to be working on 24 apartment-style units for youth that are aging out of foster care and they have nowhere to go. I know I've talked about homelessness and the different nonprofits that I'm involved with that try to address that issue up here before and try to encourage people to get involved. But I wanted to bring up Capernaum Place especially because the HBCA understood kind of what that impact has on our greater community when these youth are aging out and have nowhere to go. Just in terms of, I know Chief is probably familiar with the statistics about when you have nowhere to go, your likelihood of continuing to be homelessness or being homeless increases, but then so do a lot of other potentials to have run-ins with law enforcement and have declined health issues, things like that. And I know the members of this council are familiar, but now, with my husband and I being foster parents for the past year or so, it's just something that I've been thinking about more and more as you get more calls for children and you realize that at the end of the day, if they don't have a place to go, that impacts everybody else in our community. So I'm bringing that up because they are looking for partnerships. So if you know of organizations that should be partnering with them, I know the HBCA is looking to support them, but they're also looking for mentors for their residents. They're looking for sponsors for their apartments and different furnishings, and kind of any other type of support or in kind you can think of. So if you haven't been by that location, highly recommend going to see it. The man who runs the ministry is really active and very passionate about it, so I just wanted to share that with you. And then the last thing is just a push on the Youth Advisory Board, because I'd love to have that full and complete so that we can move that forward. I've talked to quite a few different youth in our community and they're excited about it, but then getting them to go home and pull the trigger and fill out the application. A little bit of pulling teeth here, but we all know people in this community and we know people it would be great to serve on these boards for our communities, not only the Youth Advisory Board, but the other boards that may have vacancies. So I just wanted to, again, put a reminder out there. And I believe, Mr. Rohde, we were told, I think before the last meeting, that maybe a flyer would come out to help us spread that word and reach people. I see some head nodding. Great. Maybe, yes. Fabulous. I saw it in the roundup, and I think I saw it in the newsletter as well. But since we're in September, I want to get that ball rolling. So I'd like to have more than 2 students to work with, but I will work with 2 students as we go. That is my report, Mayor. I tried to go as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Ms. Volz.
I don't really have a report, but a question for you. What is the age? What are you looking for?
employees?
No,
The advisory
no,
board.
for the advisory board, the youth advisory board. What age?
It's 14 to 17.
14 to 17. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Bentley.
No report, Mayor.
All right, Mr. Gaylord.
Yeah, just one thing. It was actually in relation to item 8B that we did tonight. I didn't bring it up during 8B because it wasn't wholly relevant to the vote, the measure that we took. But I did have a question that arose as part of the conversation we were having during that, and I wanted to get all of council's thoughts while we were giving our reports. Would council be interested in potentially turning over that Hollywood Estates property over to the HOA, as I think one or two of the individuals on council brought that up while it was being discussed as a potential, future resolution that we could potentially consider. So figured I would just bring it up now.
It's our road. We have to maintain that road. Isn't that why we said we couldn't do that? Mr. Rhodey?
Yeah, I've never broached the subject with the HOA of trying to turn the property over to them and get an easement, kind of flip-flop, if you will, and turn it over to them and then get an agreement for the road. I would also have to double check with our utility department. I don't know if any utilities are going in and out of Hollywood Estates there. Just
Yeah,
see what's underground.
I just thought I'd bring it up because I heard a couple council members mention it, so that was all I had.
Okay. Ms. McGuire?
Not necessarily a report, but more of a question. Obviously, over the holiday weekend, we had that boil notice that came from the city of Melbourne. And I guess my biggest question came from the majority of the residents in the sense of when those things happen, how are the residents informed? I got a lot of phone calls about, I never knew, I never had a way of knowing, I don't have Facebook, how was I to know that there was a Facebook post about this? So it was just more of a, how do our residents get notified in those moments?
So one item that I'd like to have Assistant Manager Tom Bradford come up and speak about is one element, and we, before I have him talk about that element, a little bit of confusion on this boil notice. So one of the challenges that we didn't know was happening was Palm Bay was coming off a boil notice the same time Melbourne and us went into a boil notice. So the messaging was confusing to people. Our methodology, our methodology has always been news alert, website, because those are real factual things, right? Someone can go to our website, someone can hear, maybe that's me, maybe that's not me, come to our website and find out 100% sure there's a boil notice. So that's one method. The second method, we got our hands slapped last time when we used it, and I'll have Tom talk about that methodology and maybe help promoting people sign up for the voluntary part of that.
Sure. So the system that we use for mass notifications is the Alert Brevard system, same as the EOC uses, same as the state of Florida uses. And we receive access to that at no cost. The state subsidizes that. They purchase it. They have it under contract. They provide it to the EOCs throughout the state. The EOCs then can provide access to the local municipalities. We've elected to participate in that, so we have access to use that Alert Brevard system. There are two kind of fundamental different pieces, a couple more, but two kind of fundamental different pieces. One is...
Hold on, Tom. Why don't you explain what Alert Brevard is?
So Alert Brevard is... It's the system that we can use to send out mass phone calls, text messages, emails to residents within the city limits. The two pieces, yes, sir. The two pieces that I was referring to is there's a sign-up portion so that if people sign up, when we send out notifications for things like boil water notice, missing persons, active shooter, they're notified. We have the ability to take the map of the city, draw boxes on the map, different shapes, polygons, circles, squares for different areas, neighborhoods, different segments of the city, and we can notify people that have signed up just in those areas that we've selected on the map. The second piece of this is the emergency piece that is imminent threat to life or property, which would be, the example provided to us would be if there's a wildfire approaching lot lines, eminently going to affect properties and houses and people, you can use the emergency notification, which notifies people that may not have even signed up. Very, very cautious on which types of things. There are very, very few things that you can use that true emergency notification for. Active shooter doesn't even qualify. And so very, very few things. Imminent threat to life or property, and it's very restricted. And one of the reasons that it's very restricted is that you may recall a couple of years ago, about 3 a.m., an alert went out to Florida, and the state of Florida took some action that they almost got rid of this system altogether because it was an accidental launch of an alert that should never have happened, and it was just purely an accident. It was a human error situation. And so they're very, very touchy on the types of things that you send out, and you don't want to over-notify. The other thing that we have to be careful of, as Mr. Rohde had indicated, where we kind of got our hand slapped, but then they backed off of that a little bit, was that when we sent out a boil water notice, they thought that we were similar to beachside communities where Melbourne or another municipality provides the water and manages the distribution system and manages the utility billing aspect of it, which is not true. So West Melbourne maintains all the infrastructure in the ground. If a water main breaks, West Melbourne trucks and people are showing up to fix that. We run our own utility billing operation. People receive West Melbourne utility bills. That's not the same. That's not the same for beachside communities that would receive a Melbourne bill and Melbourne trucks showing up. So they thought we were rebroadcasting something that the official utility had already broadcast, and they didn't. That wasn't acceptable for us to be able to rebroadcast that. They've had other communities that wanted to amplify a message, and they said, no, don't do that. That's over communicating. Let the official utility send that message as the official responsible utility for that situation. So we have some constraints on how we can use this system just because we don't want to over-notify. So the best thing that we can do is encourage people to sign up for Alert Brevard. Tell the system where you live. Let it know, that you'd like emails or phone calls or text messages for any of the types of things that we might send notifications out about, like boil water, active shooter, other, missing persons, that kind of thing.
And you said that system is run by the county or the state?
It's a system called Everbridge. It's the actual company that manages that. It's branded as Alert Florida or Alert Brevard. And so Alert Brevard is we're in it through the county contract, we'll say.
And the county contract decides what's included in an imminent emergency? I'm just trying to wrap my head around how a active shooter is not considered imminent threat to life.
Right, so it's a state-managed system. So the state has the contract. They provide it to the EOCs and the county level. The county has the ability to disseminate that to local municipalities. If people sign up to receive those alerts that are not imminent threat to life or property, like the wildfire approaching a bunch of properties, then, they define that criteria, and then everybody else has to comply with that. And so it comes down from the state to the counties to the municipalities, and that's how that's sort of managed.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, Ms. McGuire, I just had to ask.
So that's a really good, it's one of those where when we hit the magic button the other Thursday afternoon around 4:15, I got a lot of stuff because I'm signed up for a lot of stuff, right? So I got 3 or 4 different emails, 2 text messages, a phone call. I got a lot of stuff. Other people who aren't signed up if you're not signed up for anything in West Melbourne or anything Alert Brevard, you don't get the notice. And that's the part that we struggle because, you know, when the hurricanes get close, the people who sign up goes through the roof. But those people move away, new people move in, and that dips down. And so we would love to be able to reverse 911, a boil notice, a boil notice alert, because we feel everybody should know about that. The state does not allow us to do that. So we can only do the people who have voluntarily signed up, and that's a struggle. It's a struggle to get the word out. We certainly can't go door to door. You know, the news media used to be much better, but I think they put something out around 6:30. I mean, people used to watch the news. So it's a struggle. You know, it's a push pull. You know, we need people to do their part and, you know, either sign up for our news alerts or alert
Weekly
Brevard.
Roundup was another one. We used that same distribution.
We use the distribution list for weekly roundup, and so we try to do good, but
That's the last time we put a reminder about Alert Brevard in our newsletter.
We'll have to look in the newsletter. We do have it up on a banner on the homepage of the website right now with a link to how to get signed up.
Might be good to put it in the newsletter.
Certainly.
Just to
Yep.
remind
Absolutely.
everybody.
Yep.
Well, and aren't we having, doesn't the city typically have a booth at Heritage Day?
We do.
I think that's our best attended event for the city. I'm just thinking, you know, even if we put QR codes on the table that say, hey, you can sign up for Alert Brevard here, you can sign up for our advisory boards here, you can,
youth advisor.
any of our boards, I'm flexible. I'm just trying to think of, let's capture the people while they're here showing up.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, the challenge is always people have to take that step, you know, whether we.
It's the first booth when they walk in,
Right.
right there, I see it.
There are a lot of people who are very hesitant to sign up for things. I think the Alert Brevard is very cautious in what they put out. You're not going to get spam junk from that at all. I think that's a really good system. Unfortunately, it just doesn't let us hit everybody. Well, we'd love to be able to hit everybody with a boil notice.
Okay,
So long story short, not much. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much. Is that all, Ms. McGuire? Okay, so I don't have much. I have a couple questions. And before I forget what we're doing here, when that happens with me, if I have, say, 100 people that I've got their phone number, I'll copy and paste it and I'll send it to those 100 people. As I'm sending it out, they're responding back with more questions and I'm trying to get more out. And then when it's lifted, I've got to go back to the same people and again, and it can be really, really time consuming to do that. So having some kind of a mass way of getting a hold of these people, I think is much better. So thank you for bringing that up. So the light that is by the schools here on Minton, and I think I spoke with you before, when the kids were off school, that light was functioning. So there's no school buses. It only works for the school buses when they're kicking kids in there. So that light should be blinking yellow or green all the time unless the buses are going in. But that messes up every once in a while. And it did again over the weekend, over the long weekend, it was running again. So when it messes up, I call you, you call Brevard, they come out, they fix it.
Brevard Traffic Ops, so last time you had called, there was an error. I mean, there was a malfunction. But several days before that, they did test it. They did run it during the day, getting ready for school to make sure that it cycled correctly. So if it's not working properly, I'm very happy to reach out to Brevard Traffic Ops. They're very responsive.
So there's nothing that lets them know, that nothing that, they don't have a button that goes off or a light that goes off that lets them know that there was lightning or something and now it's out of sync? Unless we call and
I
tell
think
them.
there's been times where they've self-responded to Minton when there's been traffic issues on Minton, but I don't think a non-major intersection, they're monitoring it that close. In a perfect world, you'd like to think that if something's not working correctly,
Like a lift station?
they would respond, but yeah, I mean, the police are active. The Hollywood Light actuator failed and the Hollywood light was going green for Henry for about 5 seconds for about 2 or 3 days, not letting any cars cross. Called them, traffic ops came out, there was a malfunction, and they did get that repaired and fixed. And so in a perfect world, you'd like to think that technology is that advanced that when it's not working correctly, they're notified, but I think there's a human element to make them aware, for them to come out and take a look at it.
All right, thank you very, very much. I don't have anything else to report. So, management reports. Mr. Rohde and Mr.
So super big kudos, Megan Alexander, Tammy Neal, Tom Bradford, Chief Vesta, DC, Guy Barrett, our new water plant director, Cam, our Staubus, our city engineer, and Candace halfway out the door, and we dragged her back in. We really pulled together, really proud of the team to get everything in effect for the boil notice. We got notified about 4:07-ish from Melbourne that they thought a boil notice was coming. The official notice came out about 5 minutes after that, and about 5 minutes after that, we had all our socials out and getting the word out. And Mark Piccarillo with the Parks Department did a great job. We shut down the splash pad. We put bags around all the water fountains so people aren't drinking the water. We get all the departments and all the city facilities to take action. So it's several hours of work to institute a boil notice, and then the next day at noon to undo it all. I did have an opportunity to talk to the city manager in Melbourne. They are going to do a deep dive into what is happening with these tests that are coming back positive. They are as frustrated as everybody is with these. They're not looking for these kinds of things to happen, and so I think they're going to try their best to make sure that gets resolved, so we don't have that issue. But 1/1 of 27, we'll be on our own water. So.
All right, Mr. Carey.
Nothing to report tonight. I sent out an email yesterday with a report. I don't have anything beyond that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything else for the good of the order before we adjourn? All right, we are adjourned. Good night.